Well. Welcome back to episode 2.
It's episode 2.
Yes, welcome back. We just want to thank you all for joining us here again on the One Podcast for episode 2. Just to give you guys a reminder for those who may have missed it, or if you're tuning in for the first time here at the One Podcast, my name is Joseph.
My name is Paris.
Yes, and we are the One Podcast.
The One Podcast.
Yes, Bae, do you want to remind our first-time listeners what the One Podcast is and, basically why we started it?
Sure. The One Podcast is to help singles, couples, and married couples become one with God, one with themselves, and one with each other. Because even though you're married, right, you still need to be one with yourself. Reminded that you need to be one with yourself, one with God, and then one with one another, and as well with singles and couples. And it's weird because you need to be one even in your single stage, your dating stage, and in your marriage stage.
Yes, every stage you need to figure out who you are in that stage and who you are with Christ, because you're not going to have a healthy relationship if you don't know who you are and if you don't have that relationship with God.
Right, because we are forever learning and forever growing in Christ. So, and as just people and individuals, we are growing and flourishing. We're not going to stay stagnant in one place in our lives.
Amen. Yeah, because it's about elevation and growth, especially over here, the One Podcast. Amen. Amen. Listen, if you guys join us for episode 1 on our YouTube page, we want to thank you guys so much. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys laughed. Hope you guys got some insight. We definitely enjoyed watching the first episode.
Yeah.
But we're gonna start off where we left.
Yeah, where we left off.
So our first episode, we were talking about, how we met and the process of us dating and things like that. And, she still thinks she is not in my DM, but we're not going to talk about that.
We already revisited that, so we're not going to,
Listen, I like to
rehash that out.
I like to mess with you. I like to mess with you. But yeah, we're going to let's talk about episode 2, or the few things we're going to talk about episode 2. So in this episode, we're going to talk about where we left off, and we're going to tackle a few aspects of dating. And, especially in today's day and age or society, right?
Right.
There's different ways to date. And I think one of the biggest things that we've learned in our dating experience and are still learning is, one, how to date each other, and two, understanding that long distance relationship can be healthy.
Yeah. But before we get into that, we are still continuing our journey of how we met. So, yeah. So before we get into the long distance dating and all of that other stuff and how to date, we were in a situation where we left off where I said that he friend zoned me. So let's talk about that, because he friend zoned me with a quickness. Okay. It wasn't like, look, it was like, oh no, I'm not really looking for nothing right now. It was like, I'm not really looking for nothing right now, but I still want to talk to you because I like where your mindset is, type of thing. And I was just like, okay, whatever, but he friend zoned me real quick.
Listen, she loves to bring that up, and I tell her all the time, and we've talked about it, and she's thanked me for it. And the reason why I friend zoned her, as she says, and she says it all the time, and I think you tell me this all the time, and it's like, you were so honest with me. You told me straight up what you want and what you were looking for. And it was so true, because at the time I told her, like, straight up, I was like, I'm not really looking for a relationship at all. And at the time I truly wasn't, because I was still trying to figure out myself. I was still trying to heal from certain traumas and still really kind of tell myself or understand that I was worthy to date again, just from past mistakes in dating and past relationships and things like that. So at that time, I was still kind of battling and still trying to accept that God kind of was kind of pushing me back into the aspect of dating and getting into a relationship again. And at the time, I told her straight up, I said, I'm not really looking for a relationship. We're cool. I like, I think you're cute. I think you're smart, all these things. But right now, this is not what I want.
I was so upset because my agenda was to um date right away, but God knew I didn't need that at that moment in time. And when Joseph told me that, I was just like, I don't know how to feel. I was just like, do I need to be upset? Or, well, I was just like, well, I can't be upset because I asked, but I never had a guy do that to me before. So I was just like, I don't really know. So, I was praying this prayer. I was just like, God, I want a man who is sure about me, like you're sure about me. Because there were guys that I've dated in the past that you know how you just be dating just to date, like they're like you already know you don't have anything in common, but you're in a stuck place to where I still have these feelings for this person, but I know that
It's not going
they're
anywhere.
they're not the one for me.
Yeah.
So when he told me that, and I just kept praying that prayer every day, I was just like, Lord, okay, this is where I'm at, and I'm just gonna trust you. So
Yeah. When she really like realized like my true intention at heart, she really told me, like, we used to talk on the phone and text a lot throughout our building process, I would say. And one night she was we were having a conversation, and she told me, she said, I really appreciate you being as she said, I really appreciate you being transparent with me, because I've never had that before. And that was a hard even moment for me, and even a maturing moment for me, and a growth moment for me, of where I think I was used to doing the same thing that you did, like immediately just jump into a relationship.
yeah.
And I believe there's something I told you that you were like that you were just like flabbergasted, and I was like, I can be attracted to you or find you attractive but not desire you, or
Yeah.
like, what I'm saying, not want to be with you.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah.
I forgot about it, but I used to hang on to that so hard. He was just like, you're just not going to ever let that go. I was just like, well, you said it. I didn't say it. You said it.
Yeah, because I like, and that's something that one of my former leaders had taught me, is like, you can be attracted to someone.
Oh, you said, you said, even though I can be attracted to someone, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm supposed to pursue that person.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. And that's something one of my former leaders had taught me, and like it stuck with me, because I think in today's day and age, if you're not taught how to healthily date, or just, I think, understand yourself too wholeheartedly,
Yeah.
you'll jump immediately into relationship. You think just because you find this person attractive that you have to immediately date them.
Yeah.
And that's not the case, and that's something that I've done my whole life growing up, especially my teen years and younger years, because I didn't have the guidance or understanding of myself and why I was dating,
Right.
And so I would immediately jump into these relationships because I found you attractive.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, as she said, she prayed for someone who wanted to be sure about her. I prayed that the same thing. I wanted to be sure about this person I was dating, and I never like want to do the same thing I did in my previous relationships.
Right.
So I stuck onto that and was like, okay, God, you're giving me someone that I definitely, you're presenting me, not giving me, you're presenting me with someone who is, fitting into this criteria. And I wouldn't say call it a list, but the things that, like you said, you prayed for. And I genuinely, at that time, wholeheartedly wanted to do it the right way, And she was just like, hold up, like, you not trying to be my man? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. I was frustrated a lot. But we had some great times, great conversation, everything. But there came this one moment where, we were kind of flirting with it. And because I was praying that prayer, like, okay, God, I'm asking you to send me a man who is sure about me. I don't want to play around with it or around it or ride roller coasters around it or whatever. And I was just like, you know what? Because we were flirting with it, and I was getting like confused. I was just like, okay, and I was like, well,
Hold on,
friends,
let's flirting with the aspect of us being together.
right?
Yeah.
But we were, fix that up.
Yeah, so,
but we were starting to almost flirt in a way to where we were moving out of the friend zone. So that's where I was going to go. I was just like, this is not what I was praying for. I don't want to flirt with it. That's what I meant by that. I don't want us to keep flirting with what I was praying for. It had nothing to do with him because we weren't praying for the same thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want to flirt with it, and because if I'm asking you for something, I'm putting my faith on what I'm praying for.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay. So I had said it like a couple times, but then I would entertain it. Yeah. And then it got to the point to where I was just like, okay, I'm tired of trying to like figure it out. So I was just like, all right. So I cut him off.
She definitely did.
I cut him off. I don't remember how I did it. He's told me how I did it, what I wore, remember. Everything. I don't remember doing it. So
I still remember, but I think I want to say this, and I do believe you said something so key, and to go back to what you were saying, like we were flirting with it, and I see how dangerous that could have been, especially in relationship. I believe, fellas out there, if you're not sure, and I've learned this, and I've made a lot of mistakes. I'm not perfect. But fellas, if you're not sure about a woman, do not make her think you are interested in her.
Yeah.
Do not do it. The detriment of that to her emotions and her being, and just like, and so one thing I had to understand, and even got like a little bit of conviction for. One night, God was like, "That's my daughter, and you trying to play with my daughter?" You know what I'm saying? It's like, you trying to play with her emotions? Like, what's up? Like, And I think, it's so hard. Like I said, I was still healing from my own wounds and still trying to find the what's the word I'm looking for? Still trying to find the knowing within my own self that I was worthy to date again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so for her, me sending those mixed signals or vice versa, we were playing with fire.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And how do you know if you have friend zone someone and you find them attractive just because you're trying to be sure to not you're guarding your heart in that moment, in that time frame or wherever. How do you know? Like, don't be sending heart emojis. Don't be calling each other baby. Don't do all of that. Like, if you're doing that, you need to visit it.
Yeah.
Try to dissect why.
Yeah.
And just ask yourself, like, am I feeling more than what I've put a label on?
Yeah. Because I think at times, and like I said, I've grown a lot and matured a lot. I believe in that friend zone state, especially men, even women, right? There's an emotional aspect of it that feels like everybody loves that level of like intimacy and doesn't want to be lonely or not feel lonely, right?
Yeah.
And I think something that you said, like, you have to visit that because it can be very, very dangerous, because you can friend zone somebody, but then you're kind of emotionally manipulating them in a way that you're using that aspect of like, oh, I want to make you feel like my girl. I want to make you feel like my man. But the true intentions of it, when that conversation arises of like, all right, now we're flirting, now we're doing this. And then, fellas, I know, I think this text message or this line that men sometimes don't want to hear is like, so what are you?
Yeah. It's coming. Whether you want to hear it or not. And it's just like, how do you know if you don't how do you know if you're flirting with it, right?
Mhm.
Or if your intentions are off about a person, is if you are trying to get out of your head, which is like stress situations,
Mhm.
and that's just like your person that you go to for stress. Like y'all know this cuz
Mhm.
you're doing it.
Yeah.
Most of you are doing it. So it's just like, oh, I just need to talk to this person right now
Yeah.
because they know how to get me out of whatever I'm going through,
Yeah.
when Jesus should be your access.
Yep.
So it's just like, if that person that you are leading on or flirting with,
Mhm.
knowing that they're not the person for you, um just don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, save yourself the headache, save yourself the craziness.
Mhm.
Like, stop.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think one thing that we did, like I said, we aren't saying we're masters. We're still learning, but I believe one thing that we did, was we gave each other space and time.
Yeah.
I think towards the end, when we started getting closer to when we started dating, we started talking more often. But even like in the aspect of like us becoming friends, like we didn't talk every day.
No.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And if we did talk,
And I
like,
was mad about it. I was mad about it, but I was just like, nah, I'm just
I
gonna give him his
it
space.
would be
I'm
like
gonna stay right here where I'm at.
it would be like I haven't talked to her in like 2 days, and she'll hit me with a text message like, "Oh, well, you're alive," or like, "Where you been?" And they're like, "Oh, nice to hear from you," you know. So like, and that was really, honestly, truthfully, my way of like creating that space and that distance. Because I think, even in becoming friends, there's still certain boundaries that shouldn't be crossed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, let's talk about the cutoff.
The cutoff. You tell it better than, because I don't remember even doing. I knew I made up in my mind because I went in my sister's room because I was staying in Charlotte at the time,
Mm.
and we were sharing an apartment together. And I went in there and I told her, I said, I'm just gonna cut them off. And I think I worked that day, and I got off of work, and I was just like, well, I'm just gonna do it because I think you were at work. And
Yeah,
I was just like, well, I'm just gonna have to do it when I get off of work. So
yeah,
I'm at work working at Target at the time, and I'm just folding clothes or like doing stuff and be like, well, I'm not talking myself out of it. I just gotta do it today. It's getting done today. And so like when I got off, then yeah.
yeah. You texted me. You said, "Hey, can we talk tonight?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." Like, and I still remember I was doing DoorDash at the time because I was trying to make a little extra money, and uh, you're like, "Oh, can you call me when you have some time?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So I called her, and at this time, like, truthfully, I was really in a battle within my own self. It was a battle of fear. It was a battle of, um, I would say, shame. Still, a level of shame I was still dealing with. And I was trying to really not psych myself out, but really embrace and believe that, okay, God, like, I've been asking for this. People have told me they saw me in a relationship. So it's like, okay, God, like, do I do this? And do I pursue her? And do I do it the right way? Like, what do I do? And at the time, like, I was really, I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. I was scared to really commit, because that was another aspect of, um, intimacy that I wasn't mature enough to handle at the time, or not at the time, but as in my previous years, that level of commitment. So I was like, dang, like, this is an area I've struggled in before. Like, what if I don't commit fully, and I hurt her, and all these other things that were going through my head. And God had to give me that reassurance, like, oh, I got you. But unfortunately, like I said, to go back to the cutoff, I kind of realized that a little bit after. So, yeah, I was doing DoorDash. She had called me. She was like, "Can we have a conversation?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And truthfully, she really shared her heart with me, which I really appreciate, because I know at that time, like, she was telling me, she was struggling with letting people in and sharing her emotions and her thoughts. So I know that was a big step for her to really talk to me and not just ghost me or cut me off completely and be like, don't ever talk to me, don't call me, I don't want to hear from you. You know what I'm saying? Like, she
Yeah.
really like sat down and explained to me like, hey, this is why I feel the need to not talk to you anymore. It has nothing to do with you personally, but I need you to be sure about me, And at that time, like, I wasn't giving her the actual reassurance that she truly, honestly deserved at the time, because, like I said, I was still in my own way almost, and so we are having a conversation, and like I said, I still remember the details, but long story short, I remember at the end of the phone call, she was like, "Well, I guess we're not gonna talk no more." I said, "I guess," and she was like, "Well, I'll see you in September," because we were supposed to go to our church's end of the year gathering in September, and I think this was like what?
We were in July.
We
were in
like June or May.
Yeah, we're in. Yeah, that was like
It was early.
Yeah, that was a long time, but that was big for me because he says I FaceTime. I don't remember doing none of that, so that had to be all of God because, yeah, I just knew that because I knew how I would get so attached to the fact that where I would try to force something, and I didn't want to be the one to do that. I wanted God to naturally do that. And yeah, so he did that, but the cutoff wasn't long, y'all. So
yeah, it definitely wasn't long, because I think God kind of started to deal with me a little bit. Started to speak to me, and slap me in the face a little bit, like, "Right, what you doing?" And so I think what really started it, what sparked it, was she was like, she gave me guidelines for the cutoff. She was like, "We're not gonna talk. We're not gonna speak. I think we should not, send each other social memes and Instagram videos and stuff like this." So she had guidelines and specific. And the crazy thing is, like, I don't even want to call it guidelines. And I think for most people would probably take offense in that. But what I learned and what I respected and what I honored about that in you in that moment is you set a boundary for me.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? You set a boundary, and we've had conversations, and I've always told you I appreciate you for having those, like, giving that honor to yourself, that it's like, no, this is how we're going to do this. This is how you're going to treat me, and not wavering or moving from it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And so she's like, "We're not going to talk. We're not going to text. We're not going to FaceTime. You're not going to send me memes. You're not going to send me TikTok videos. You're not going to do any of that." Right.
no.
So long story short, like, about maybe, I wouldn't even say a week, maybe a week later,
Right.
I'm on Instagram. She sends me a video on Instagram, like a reel, and was like, "I just thought this was funny. This doesn't mean that we're going to, that you can talk to me, though. And I think you said, this doesn't mean that you have to respond to this," or something like that. I was like, "What?"
I was just like, no, I said, this doesn't mean that we're going to go back to talking.
Yeah. She was like, "This doesn't mean we're going to go back to talking." I was like, "What? You sent me this reel that's funny, and then you're expecting not to respond?"
Yeah.
And then,
Yes.
yes. But yeah, like, and then I don't know if, like, I sent you another reel.
Yeah.
Back.
It like the next day he sent me a reel,
I sent you a TikTok
or
video.
it was on TikTok.
Yeah, and then, like, slowly we just started, like, randomly sending each other stuff on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then, like, I had asked her, I was like, "I thought you said you didn't want to talk to me." And then she was like, or it took a while to respond. She's like, "I miss you, though."
Yeah, and then I came home, and I think, was it because I don't know why I came home, but I was home, and no, I moved back home. So I moved back home, and I talked to my mom. I was just like, "Ma, I told him that I would not talk to him until September." And she was just like, "Well, why did you do that?" And I was just like, because I was trying to guard my heart. And that's what I was doing, and I was just like, I think I overreacted. And then I was just like, should I text him? Should I not text him? She was just like, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. And she was just like, I just think you kind of you a little bit overreacted. So I texted him, and I was just like, I think we overreacted a little bit.
I think we both overreacted because like truthfully at that time like I was really hearing from God and like trying to hear from God of like God like what do I do, and the clearest answer I got was like pursue, and I think one of the biggest things, and I tell you this all the time, one of the main reasons why I decided to pursue because God started dealing with me and he made me realize like every time we had conversation, every time we talked, every time we spoke, there was a certain aspect of relationship that I was learning through our conversation and through building friendship with her. And the greatest thing, and one of the biggest things that I was learning even through the conversation, through the relationship with her, was the fact that I was learning how to love like Christ by being her friend.
Yeah.
And I started to learn God's heart for me, for people, for her, just by being her friend. And I was like, wow, God, like I've never experienced something like this before. Like I've never learned how to love someone or understand like your love for someone through you, through your view, through your perspective. And so it really made me like buckle down and be like, Joe, come on, like if you don't tell her how you really feel, then you are going to miss out on something great. And, that's, I think I was struggling too for a little bit of being vulnerable and, telling you how I felt and really expressing my heart to you. But yeah, did it last long? Did the cutoff last long?
No, the cutoff did not last long. It did not.
It did not. Like, thank God. I truly thank God. Like, after we were sending the memes, we were just like, yeah, what are we doing? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to pursue. I'm going to pursue. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm not going to be stubborn. I'm not going to get in my own way. I'm going to actually believe that I deserve to be in something healthy and something, God honoring. So,
yeah.
Yeah, we started to talk.
We started to talk. So I was in North Carolina and he was in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So we did do long distance.
Yes.
For a while.
Yes, we did. We did for definitely a couple months. We long distance relationship. I know sometimes couples do it for longer than that, but for us, that was like my real test for me, as far as like letting go of the shame and the guilt that I faced in like previous and past relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It was like made me have to deal with myself, in the essence of understanding how to keep this, I would say sacred, and also to how to not utilize this as an emotional crutch. Right. Because with proximity, the lines of the reasoning for the relationship can get skewed. You know what I'm saying? And I believe the distance really made me reevaluate, why I wanted to be with you. And so it really helped. And I truly believe, if you're in the process of dating or looking to date, do not negate the aspect of dating or building a relationship long distance. Yeah. I truly believe it is healthy and can be very prosperous and healthy.
Yeah, with our long distance dating, it allowed me to love in a different way. Mm-hmm. So like learning how to like give one another space.
Yeah.
And like Paris, like, cause I dated Jesus. I dated somebody. Yes, I did. I dated someone where I was going to school, so I was like always doing schoolwork and I was going to work, but all we did was be on the phone. If I was at work, I was on the phone with this particular individual and I was doing homework, and it was just like, God, like you ain't got nothing else going on. Like what are you doing?
Yeah.
So it taught me that if someone is on the phone with you like 24/7, then how is he hearing from God? Like, how
Yeah.
is he getting vision? Like, what does he want to do? Like, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, with us in our long distance relationship, just allowing us to like part ways and be like, well, I got to do this and da 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 da.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. And I was okay with that.
Yeah.
And also like talking, conversation. I mean, it helped me because I don't like small talk, y'all.
Yeah.
I don't do small talk. I just don't. I've gotten better with it.
Mm.
But it was just like when we didn't have that cutoff point, we could talk for hours
Yeah.
and hours and hours and hours and hours about certain things. But I think that long distance is healthy because it teaches you individuality.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, like, you shouldn't be depending on someone in that aspect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, I mean, in marriage, yeah, that too. Like, you shouldn't be only depending on someone to get you through something.
Yeah.
Like, you should create your own relationship with God. You should know where you want to go, because if you're constantly talking to him and you're constantly seeking after him, he's gonna impart in you vision on what he wants you to do. Now you can be like, hey, this is what I want to do, blah 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 blah, because we would talk about that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he would be like, so what you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, I don't know. So it's just like helping in that way, not like depending on that particular person that you were interested in or dating or married to like, you know, do it for you.
Yeah.
There's a difference in between pushing someone towards greatness and like dragging somebody towards greatness. Because if first of all, if y'all don't have something that God is wanting y'all to do together,
Yeah.
then I would kind of, and that this is just my opinion, I would kind of question that.
Yeah.
Because if y'all are one day going to be married, right? Because that's what we're working towards. He's gonna give you I feel like he will give you an assignment to do together. So like, you will have your own assignment individually, and then you also have an assignment to do together. It's almost like when you go to work, y'all don't go to some of y'all might, but most of y'all might work in different places. That is y'all individual working places.
Yeah.
But then you also do stuff together. So that's what you do together. So I just feel like long distance gives you space.
It does.
To be you, to still work out the kinks in you, right? So it's just like, I think that's the benefits of long distance dating. And then it also helps you realize, is this the person I really want to be with? Like, you begin to think about that person without them being right there on you. And like, you just, it's like, if they're always on you, how you gonna ask God about them?
And I think the crazy thing is, like, with the long distance like dating and relationships, is like, you can really reevaluate why you want this relationship.
Right.
Like, I truly believe, and you know, I could be wrong, but this is my humble opinion, that if you feel like, oh, I can never long distance date, I think it's like, well, why do you want to be like, why do you want to date, or what stops you from long distance relationship? And I think a lot of people would say the distance. Well, why does the distance matter? And I think sometimes with the long distance relationship dating and relationships, it's because, like you said, people sometimes don't know how to be by themselves. And you know, and I think that's why to go back to even why we started this podcast, like, you have to know how to be by yourself before you can be with anybody else. You know what I'm saying? And there are so many people out there, and you know, to say I was one of them, but I didn't know how to be by myself. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know how to live a single life. I didn't know how to figure out what my purpose was, or understand my purpose, my identity, and all these things. And you know, I thank God, because if we were closer, I think it would not have been as healthy we would not have built it as healthily as possible as we have been doing or have done.
Yeah, I just think that because my history in the past where I was in my first real relationship and I was kind of still trying to find myself, and I just had all these people just telling me. I mean, just telling me all these different things about us, and I'm just like, okay. And like I was still like new in Christ and all this other type stuff. So I'm just like, they gotta know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, I don't even know what I want to do, and then you trying to push me into marriage and all of this other. I'm like, honey, I don't even know what I want to like. I'm in the 12th grade. Like what in the world?
Yeah.
And it's just like, then I began to, because I was seeking, because when you don't give each other space, right? It can create, if you don't know who you are, right? And you're already struggling with identity and you're trying to attach your identity with Christ, because you're spending so much time with that other individual, you will begin to mold your identity around that person.
Yes.
And it's bad when that individual doesn't know who they are in Christ, because when you break up, you are destroyed because you don't have a foundation.
Yes.
And it's like, that's where I was. And I was just like, never again.
Yep.
So I just think that long distance dating allows you that room to grow yourself, allows that room for God to show you. Like, even when we were like talking, I was just like, God, you just got to show me. You got to show me. You got to show me every single day. And even though when I would think something bad was happening, he would show me. I was just like, all right, he's showing me. And then I was just like, I don't know about this. And then he would keep showing me. So, yeah, but if you always up under that person, then you're not even giving God room to show you what could be or show you what is going to be.
Yep. I agree 100%.
So,
well, listen, we're running out of a little bit of time. I think we could go on for another hour. We could, but we've definitely hit some amazing key points, and I think we could definitely pick up where we left off. For the next episode.
Yeah. So this will be continued. So episode 3.
Episode 3 will be a little bit of a continuation, and then moving into the next episode. So.
Yeah.
Well, listen, guys, again, for those who are tuning in for the first time, my name is Joseph.
My name is Paris.
And
this is the One Podcast. And we need to shout out Faith in Action Television.
Yes, thank you, guys. Faith in Action Television. Thank you for this amazing countdown and just setup and just running all the back stuff for us. We truly appreciate it. But if you guys are watching, if you guys are tuning in, if you guys need some video editing, if you guys need a countdown, if you guys need want to be on TV, want to be on a cable, if you want to be on TV, actual TV station, head over to Faith in Action TV. We can get their contact information. Do we have their contact information?
We do not.
We gonna get it.
We will drop it down below.
Yeah, we're gonna link it down below. We're gonna get their contact information down below, so you guys can head over there and reach out to them for all your creative video editing needs. All right. Also, shout out to our other sponsor, Sunday Geeks. Sunday Geeks, shout out to them for keeping us fly and sponsoring this podcast. Thank you guys so much. If you guys want any apparel like you see here, bing, 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 right? If you want some shirts, just some stuff to get you ready for the fall, I know they have sweaters coming up pretty soon. So shout out to Sunday Geeks. Head over to their website, sundaygeeks.com. We're also going to link their Instagram and their Facebook down below. So listen, guys, again, we thank you guys for tuning into episode numero dos. That's number 2 for those of you who don't speak no Spanish, who failed Spanish in high school. Number 2, that means 2. That means 2. Again, my name is Joseph.
My name is Paris.
And we are the One Podcast.
The One Podcast.
Woo! So we love you guys, and we hope to see you guys tune in for episode number 3.
Episode 3.
Later.
Later.